Bienvenidos, mi hermanos y hermanas. This is Congressman Darren Soto. Thank you so much for your invitation to the Puerto Rican Bar Association. As a fellow Puerto Rican attorney, I appreciate my dear friend Tony Suarez and so many amazing longtime members from Central Florida and from South Florida. We in the diaspora have a huge responsibility to help our brothers and sisters back on the island, both in representation in Florida and across the nation, but also up here in Washington. I was honored to be a co-introducer of the Puerto Rico Status Act, also the Puerto Rico Statehood Act before that. What an incredible time it was to be in the negotiating room with Resident Commissioner Jennifer Gonzalez-Colon, with Governor Perluisi, with AOC, and with Nydia Velasquez, Steny Hoyer, Chair Grijalva, so many others. And we ultimately came to a major compromise in order to have a bipartisan solution that I'm proud passed the House late last year during the last Congress. And it had several major provisions. One, it provided for 3 types of status for the Puerto Rican people on the island to be able to decide upon: statehood, independence, and independence with free association. And it was a binding resolution, which meant that if it had passed the Senate, and of course we all know President Biden had already given a message that it was going to be signed into law if that had happened, that the Congress would automatically accept statehood should that have been the vote in the election. If in the referendum they chose independence or independence with free association, those matters would be determined, such as citizenship and length of it, and decoupling of things such as military bases and federal entitlements. Those things would all be decided in a subsequent compact. Of course, taxes would also have been determined under statehood and all those things in a transition over a year plus in negotiations with the United States. So I'm proud to say we filed that bill again in a bipartisan fashion. We'll not only be working the House, but it's key for the Senate to also step up to support the Puerto Rico Status Act. And of course, we're continuing to work with our brothers and sisters on the island. I also wanted to mention we're keeping an eye on making sure to continue Medicaid parity to make sure that Puerto Rico gets the same type of healthcare funding that we saw in the States. We're continuing to oversee and encourage technical assistance for Puerto Rico for disaster recovery after Hurricane Maria and Hurricane Fiona. And of course, serving on the Ag Committee, I'm also working on converting SNAP from the current NAP program, because Puerto Rico is not getting the same type of food assistance opportunities that currently those of us in the mainland have. In business, we're seeing major connections between our area and Puerto Rico, including in insurance with Florida Blue, Orlando Health buying hospitals down there. We also see tourism, major entrepreneurs working down there, as well as other institutions like the Puerto Rico Research Hub, which I was proud to help secure $500,000 to continue the partnerships in academia, as well as with the student exchange programs. I hope you all have a great convention and discussion in Orlando with Boricua attorneys from across the state and from those of you traveling from the island and from other areas. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there in person because there is a looming potential government shutdown, but note that I will be continuing to do everything I can to keep the government open and ensure both Florida, Puerto Rico, and the rest of the nation has a government that will continue to serve the American people. Gracias por esta oportunidad y yo espero una conversación muy suerte.